Okay, so I've already made a video explaining the mental process that we go through when we're trying to find the formula of an arithmetic sequence. But bottom line is you need to be able to simply find the formula. And for some people, the easiest way to do that is just going to jump into the equations or the little formulas, the basic structures that we use to find the value of r and to find the value of a sub 0. That's what everything boils down to. We need to find those two things. And so in the previous video, I worked through a long series of processes and explained exactly a general technique of how to do that and where that technique is coming from. In this video, we're just going to cut to the chase. Now that we know what those formulas are, we're just simply going to use them. So this is going to be a more straightforward, just an example type video of how to find the explicit formula for an arithmetic sequence. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started. I didn't even write down the learning objective. The learning objective basically carries over from the last video. It's be able to find the formula for an arithmetic sequence. That's our learning objective. And in the last video, we explained that it's going to have something that looks like a linear function, but the variables are different. So again, you can kind of see the hints of y equals mx plus b, right? You can see the structure is similar, but all our variables have changed. And in the last video, I gave you some formulas to figure out the two pieces you need to find. Remember, these are the only two pieces you need to find because our final answer is going to leave the n and the a sub n as variables because it needs to be able to represent every term and the value of every term. Okay, so those stay variables. So I need to find r. Talked about usually it's easiest to find r first. And then once we find r, then we'll use it to figure out a sub 0. So that means that's what we're going to find second. And we go from there. Okay, now in the formulas, to be honest, it's been a little while since I made the last video. I'm not positive if I used this notation in the last video. So let me make sure that we're all clear with what I mean with this notation. All right, and you perhaps will see in the example that we'll do in just a second. A sub m and a sub k are the value of two terms that they've given you. So to find the answer, the formula, you have to know at least two terms. So the two terms that they've given you, the value goes in the top of this equation. And then in the bottom of the equation, it's which terms they have. So if they gave you the fifth term and the fourth term, then this would be 5 minus 4, okay? Up here would be their actual values, whatever they are. But down here, it's the which terms they gave you, all right? And same thing over here, except now to find this, once you know r, you only need one term. And it doesn't matter which one you pick. You could pick a sub m. You could pick a sub k. You can pick any term you want. Personally, I always pick the term where it looks like the numbers are easiest to use. And then we go from there. All right, so these are our basic formulas. Here's an example. Okay, now, obviously, if you didn't get this captured in the video last time, you might want to pause this video right now and get this in your notes. Okay, you also might want to pause right now to copy this in your notes. But hopefully you've got everything that you need in your notes. Let's start talking about this example right here. So the first thing I suggested is me personally, I always start by writing what the answer is going to look like. The answer is going to look like something like that. And what I've suggested so far is that we start by finding r. And the way that I'm going to do that is with the formula that we just had on the previous piece of paper. R is equal to the difference of two terms' values over the two terms. And it doesn't matter which terms they give you. So it really doesn't matter whether you call this m and k or m and p or q and x, and it really doesn't matter, okay? I didn't want to use n because I didn't want to get confused with this up here, but it doesn't matter. So what I want to do is I just want to pick one of these to be my first one and one of these to be my second one. It doesn't matter which. Most people, I have found, like to make their bigger number come first and their smaller number comes second, in which case I'm going to make 37, that's going to be my a sub m, and 11, that's going to be my a sub k, is what I'm going to do. But that's up to you. Okay, now once we do that, then the bottom of my fraction, are these subscripts. So m is 37. That's the bottom of my fraction. And k is 11. That's the bottom of my fraction. So I get 37 minus 11 in the bottom of my fraction. So the m and the k, those are just the subscripts. The whole deal, a sub m, is what this is equal to. So a sub m is negative 56. And a sub k is what this whole thing is equal to. That's negative 4. Okay, so that's how I would start as far as trying to figure out what r is equal to. And now from here, it's just simplify, and I can use my calculator to help me with that. So on my calculator, I'm just going to go ahead and type in, let's see, I've got a negative 56 minus a negative 4. Do be careful to make sure that you're using a minus sign for minus and a negative for negative, right? Those signs, don't get them mixed up or you're going to get the wrong answer. You also might choose to utilize parentheses, and that's also fine, okay? However you want to set that up. So the top of my fraction is going to be a negative 52. And then in the bottom of my fraction, I'm going to get a positive 26. And if I divide negative 52 by positive 26, I'm going to end up with r is equal to negative 2. Okay, so that's my first part. Now I know r. Okay, so this piece, that's done. The next thing I need to do is find a sub 0. So that, generally speaking, comes later, because generally speaking, I need to use r to find that. So I find r first, then I do a sub 0. And with a sub 0, the formula that we wrote on the previous page is take the value of any term and then subtract from it r times that term. Okay, so it doesn't matter which term you pick. For this one, I always pick the one that the numbers are the smallest and easiest to work with. So I would pick this one because 11 is smaller than 37, 4 is smaller than 56. They're easier to work with. So I would pick this one, but it totally does not matter. You can pick any one you want. So if I'm going to pick this one, then my value of the term, the value of the whole term, is negative 4. So this piece here becomes negative 4 minus r, we just found from up here. So r becomes negative 2. And the value of m is my subscript. In this case, my subscript, oops, can't quite see it. My subscript is 11. And so this becomes my process for finding a sub 0. And again, if the numbers are inconvenient, I can just type that into my calculator. So I've got a negative 2 times an 11. That gives me a negative 22. And if I type that into my calculator, again, negative 4. Be careful to make sure your minus sign versus your, whoops, sorry, minus sign versus the negative sign. Make sure you've got the right thing there. But this thing is equal to a positive 18. And so now I know a sub 0. So now I know r. Now I know a sub 0. Now I'm just going to plug them into that structure. So r turned out to be a negative 2. So I'm going to have a sub n equals negative 2 times n. And a sub 0 turned out to be 18. So negative 2 times n plus 18 is going to be my answer. Whoops, zoom in the wrong way. So here we go. My final answer, a sub n, is r times n plus a sub 0. And there we go. All right, so this is our basic process. Just straight up using the formulas, not talking about where they come from or anything. So if you want to review that, watch the previous video. But that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.